Okay. Because we all have them. Button pushing are those things that cause you to go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. It's interesting that, and one of my daughters came home when she was younger and she was like, Mom, you're worse than a wicked stepmother. And I'm like, oh, this is what Disney's done for me as a parent. The hair kind of went up on the back of my neck and I wanted to be like, you want to see what a wicked stepmother, it was like, whoa, she had pushed my hot button when she said that. And I didn't react that negatively, but I didn't react the way I wanted to. Okay, I didn't respond, I did react. Okay. And part of the reason is after I behaved maybe a little poorly when she said that is I had to reflect on why did I go from 0 to 100? How could I have prevented myself from overreacting? Because some of you are fearful. And Ginny said this when I popped into their breakout room. She's like, it's how people respond and react. Okay, it's their reaction. And we can't, manage anybody else's reaction, but we can manage our own. And so I had to step back and think about and own the fact that my Achilles heel, my hot button in life is competence. Okay, I don't need to be the best at anything, but I need to be good enough to feel like I'm at least being somewhat successful at what I'm doing. Okay, and so when she said I was, worse than a wicked stepmother, what I heard her say, which is not what she said. Okay. Did you hear the point I just made? What I heard her say versus what she actually said was that I was a bad mother. That is not what she said. Okay. So at that moment, my Achilles heel about being good, when you're a working parent, it's like I never felt like I had enough time for my kids. I never had enough time for my job. I never had enough time for my partner. I never had so I felt like I was doing kind of a marginal job at everything. And when you're doing a marginal job at everything, then that's my Achilles heel. When she said that, I put my own garbage on what she said without fully understanding what her underlying issue was for saying that. Okay, as I found out when she was later, the next time she did that, then I'm like, so I stepped back and I thought about, well, what's pushing my hot button? Well, it's my ego, my need for competence. So how am I going to respond differently next time? So the next time she said, oh, you're worse than a wicked stepmother, I just kind of looked at her and I says, well, I'm sorry, honey, maybe the Andersons will adopt you. She just, that's why some people use humor. It's asymmetrical. It's a different reaction than they're expecting, but we choose how we show up and how we react to other people's comments and behaviors. And so after she said that, I'm like, oh, honey, I'm just kidding. So what makes me a wicked stepmother? And then she told me, well, you don't let me have sleepovers 2 nights in a row. Well, honey, as soon as you can't be ugly after the first sleepover, we can negotiate a second night sleepover. Okay. It was something really small and simple, but sometimes people say or do things that cause us to go off the deep end without really understanding what's behind the action or the statement. And that's more to do with us than them. Okay. Another example was I was coaching a woman who was basically told she had to quit snapping at work. And what we determined is that her hot button was that she was an extreme introvert who was doing a customer service job. So the first discussion is, why are you doing customer service work when you don't like to spend a lot of time with people? And her comment was, 3 minutes from home, don't take any work home with me. I love the people I work with, great benefits, lots of flexibility, different things like that, because she valued her home life more than she did her job. But what we discovered her hot button was she needed time to recharge every day. And so we came to the point where she basically said, okay, when I take my lunch break, nobody interrupts me. In fact, she found an empty closet and she would actually sit in the closet because nobody could find her there until they understood that she was really serious, that her breaks were hers and she wanted absolutely no interruptions. because she needed that time to herself to recharge. She also figured out she needed then to take walks or get away from other people when she started to feel her tension rise. And so part of the way we manage conflict, okay, and can prevent conflict is knowing what our own hot buttons are and thinking about how do we respond differently when we start to see them being triggered. Okay. Does anybody have the courage or comfort to share after listening to this story? Do you know what your hot buttons are?